How does one create history? By beginnings, wars, innovation, success. In over 200 pages, explore 50 years of WWE's historical reign in sports entertainment. WWE 50. Available March 31st. Pre-order now online or wherever books are sold.
You already know Kowloon Restaurant, established in 1950 and spanning 4 generations, serves a multi-Asian menu. Did you also know that Kowloon Restaurant is New England's premier Asian dining and entertainment complex, serving Cantonese, Szechuan, Thai, and Polynesian cuisine? And did you know that Kowloon Restaurant is also the home of the finest Japanese sushi? If you haven't dined at Kowloon Restaurant lately, then you simply haven't dined at Kowloon. Kowloon Restaurant, Route 1 North in Saugus.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Harley Race.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
This is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans, welcome to another installment with Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Marotti, joined by my close personal friend, the fabulous one himself, Mr. John Cena Sr. Some call him the Arthur S. of the Millennium Wrestling Federation.
Oh, what a kick in the teeth that was. I am the Arthur T. of the Millennium Wrestling Federation. Kind, generous, happy, giving. That's me. Unlike my friend in that Polynesian luau handkerchief he's wearing. I'm not sure where he got that, but I hope the person he took it out of ran fast.
Do you know how many compliments I got on this, both in person and on social media at Hulk Hogan Day back in June 28th?
Brother, let me tell you something, brother. I never gave you a compliment on that shirt, brother. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be caught dead in it, brother.
I didn't say Hulk gave it to me. I said some of the great fans on hand at the Assembly Sports Club and the Tewksbury Sports Club.
They were wearing sunglasses and they had dogs, right? That, please, don't, Dan, fashion and style, Dan Marotti, it's like an Oscar Mayer wiener. He doesn't know how to dress that up either.
Well, that's a different story.
Another story for another time.
That's a different time, correct.
Absolutely.
A lot going on in the world of professional wrestling, Johnny, but close to home, as we were talking about moments before we began taping today, what's going on with Arthur S. and Arthur T? You have a great knowledge of this, and I can't think of a better place for these two gentlemen to maybe resolve their differences right here on this program.
I'd be glad, and I'm sure you would be glad, the fans of Millennium Wrestling Federation would be glad to have Arthur S. and Arthur T, along with the board of directors, to come into the studio and let's see if we can't resolve this. I guess it's a sandbox tactics. You know what? It's and I hate to say this, it's ultimate stupidity in itself. I just don't get it. You've destroyed a customer base. You've taken the morale of your employees down, although I tell you what, my hat's off to every single person that's out there holding a sign. The solidarity and strength of those individuals is amazing. My hat's off to them. Let's stop the foolishness. Let's get back to market basket and business, and let's move on. Every day you wait is $10 million more out of your pocket. Let's stop the foolishness and begin to think as business people. Now is the time for, I hate to use the word because it will tie into something else, I'm sure.
Feel free.
But now is the time for change. It is change time for Market Basket. It's time to think. It's time to put the pieces together. Because I firmly believe, Dan, that Market Basket as you knew it will no longer ever exist.
Could it be a bigger, better Market Basket?
I doubt that. I doubt that very much, because what you've done is you have ultimately destroyed the one thing that makes Market Basket what it is today. It's the same thing in Wegmans in Massachusetts, in Rochester, New York. Whenever I go there, Wegmans, people go to work for Wegmans and never quit. Why? Because the Wegman family treats their people like family. Arthur T did just that. Arthur T would find out how his employees were doing. I heard from one person who had a sick son. Arthur T found out about it. What do we have to move him? What do we have to do? Another employee said to me, my mother passed away. I'm at the wake, and who shows there? Arthur T, nobody else from Market Basket on the upper echelons. This is what Wegmans is all about also. It's family helping family. They're not employees, they're families. Two great organizations, Market Basket and Wegmans, and one person decides that it's not family now. Your cashiers, your baggers, your managers, they're your front line. I know, I own 3 businesses. Without the front line, a general cannot win the war. And I believe that Market Basket is beginning to see that without their front line, they can't win this war. And the front line they have, again, my hat's off to you folks. You know, there have been idle threats about firing everybody. Well, Attorney General of Massachusetts says there are ramifications for that. You just can't do that. The Attorney General of New Hampshire has stepped in. You just can't do that. I think it's kind of reminds me of Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby. It's just infighting. Brer Rabbit put his hand in the Tar Baby, couldn't get that out. He tried his other hand, he couldn't get that out. Used his foot, he couldn't get that out. Got his other foot in, he couldn't get that out. And before you know it, he was absorbed into the Tar Baby. This is exactly what we're in for. It's a Tar Baby quicksand situation where if the board of directors doesn't sit down and make a logical business decision, again, I say, Market Basket as you know it, family friendly, price right, is completely gone. Because in order to resolve the debt that you have, you need to obtain credit. How can you be close to $400 million in debt at $10 million every day and expect to be extended credit? First of all, you have to know how to run the grocery store. And I'm not taking anything away from anyone, but Arthur T, in my opinion, is the one person that knows how to run the grocery business. So I don't know who flipped their vote. I don't know why they flipped their vote. I would think that one person ought to sit back and take a close look at this and put Market Basket, like Wegmans, back where it belongs as a family grocery store, a family business, somebody that cares about the people, the customers, and the business.
Well, you know, I won't pretend to know all of the different issues on both sides, but I will say this, it is very impressive, especially in this day and age, that a large group of employees like they have right now are out protesting, not for more money, not for more hours, not for more better benefits, but to have the man reinstated as their CEO. And I tip my cap, if I had one on, to those employees, and I hope they, from what I've seen to the naked eye, I hope things go their way, and I support RDT. I'd like to have TNS on this program. Let's resolve the issues.
I wish you could do that. I don't think Arthur S., who I think, you know, there's an old saying that I used to have when I worked as vice president of a bank in charge of their appraisal division in my own businesses. If you're not part of the solution, then you must be part of the problem. I think the problem lies, and this move, in my opinion, was not done to improve business. It's just infighting. And the one person that flipped their vote, I don't think, and I really mean this, I don't think she, and it was a woman, or the board of directors, or Arthur S., ever expected the solidarity from the customers, from the deliverers, from the suppliers. You have a non-union group of employees who simply said, we want the man who is Market Basket to be Market Basket. And they, the board of directors, decided, nope, whoever that one vote was, and I understand, and I don't know how true this was, but that one vote was always an Arthur T vote. So now we have a board of directors, we have 2 new CEOs. How good or bad they are, I don't know, but if you research the track records, I think you might be a little surprised at what each one of these did and does. So what the foreplan is for Market Basket, I really don't know. But I really think that the board of directors, the shareholders, need to sit back, look, and make a logical business decision. Because you forced your customer base to taste other ice cream. not just for one day, but for 3 weeks. And it's going to continue. The solidarity in your suppliers, the solidarity in your customers, and the solidarity for those individuals who worked their regular hours and then went out and held signs in the rain, in 92-degree weather. Let me tell you something. I know, and I was speaking to somebody the other day, the national unions in this country are amazed at what these young people and these employees have done, because a quote was, "We couldn't have done that." Do you realize that this case, this market basket case, is now being studied in several colleges, and I think Harvard may pick it up very shortly, as a class business case? This is amazing. Never in the history of the country have you seen this happen. Never. These young people, these customers and these suppliers, and I guess I got to say Arthur S. and Arthur T. and that board of directors is right now in 2014 making history.
Geez, it kind of reminds me when you see those people out there protesting, sharing their opinion with the masses. Reminded me of the North Carolina Inside Job, when the fans get together and let you know what they thought about that back at Soul Survivor 8. That's a different story for a different time. But nonetheless, there's a lot going on in the world of professional wrestling. I will say this, I would like to have IDT down here or some of these protesters to share their feelings. That's what wrestling is all about. And that's what the world should be all about, as we're seeing with Market Basket. I think it's a good thing for these folks to be out there trying to say, you know what, corporate America, there is a better way.
I don't think you'll get either person to come and voice their opinion. I think...
Would you interview Arthur S.?
I would interview Arthur S. and I would interview Arthur T. I would also like to interview, in all fairness, I would like to interview that one person on the board of directors who flipped her vote as to why she flipped her vote. I would also like to go on site and interview some of those employees who are so solidified, so together. I mean, when every manager says, "Don't bring Arthur T back, I'll quit." Well, they held a job fair yesterday. Whoopee. I don't think anybody came, and if they did, if all your managers leave, tell me, your new two CEOs are going to train them? Arthur S., are you going to train them? The woman that flipped her vote, I think she lives in London, is she going to train them? Who's going to train your new employees? Who's going to make Market Basket what it was? Shaw's and Stop and Shop are changing their price structure. If I was Shaw's right now, I'd drop my prices 5%, and I would match the 4% that Arthur T instituted for the savings till Christmas. You want to give me your customer base? Shaw's, Stop and Shop, Hannaford Markets. You have never been handed a bigger gift in your life. And if you don't open your eyes and take advantage of it, look, I'm a business person. Business is business. And if we don't take advantage of those opportunities and given to us, shame on you. Shame on you. Walmart. I was in Seabrook the other day picking up some stuff for a project I'm doing. I have a couple of friends up there. They've had 4 to 5 emergency deliveries of food already. The number of people have now migrated. You forced in 3 weeks your customers to seek other stores. You forced your customers to find better prices. You forced your competitors to drop their prices. What competition you thought you have eliminated, you have created, Arthur S. and your board of directors and your new CEOs. Maybe you want to liquidate. Maybe that's why you hired one person. Maybe you want to do other things. I have no idea. But I would simply say this. Market Basket, again, I've said this 1,000 times to you, and I'll say it for the last time. Market Basket as you knew it will never, as Chris Jericho would say, ever be the same. Because if you lose $400 million and you can't get somebody to back you because of your debt, and I don't know if you can or can't. Arthur T probably could do that. He could probably raise the funds because of his knowledge. You have to increase your prices. And what you've done now is become your competitor. So, you know, I always used to say to my sons, and I say the same thing to everybody, I don't mind playing the game. But just remember who set the rules.
Wise words himself, not from Arthur T, but Johnny C.
Whoa.
Let's get into the world of professional wrestling, Johnny.
I beat Market Basket to death. They probably won't even let me in the store anymore. Not that I go there.
There's no food.
But I wouldn't go there. As soon as they started.
You won't return to Market Basket until T is back?
You know what? I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't know if I'll ever go back to Market Basket, even if T goes back in.
Really?
I would have to wait 6 months to make sure that there are no more snakes in the woodpile, that somebody doesn't decide, well, we're going to try this one more time.
You think someone could sabotage T?
You know what? There's always a snake in the woodpile. You have to watch out. And, you know, karma is a bad thing. And you know what? In all fairness, I guess in the early days, I guess Arthur T wasn't such a nice person either when he first started. And I think the thing I have to take my hat off to Arthur T about is he did what most people believe people can't do. He changed. And to me, that's why I support Arthur T. He changed. He cares. He still does care. He wants it to succeed. He wants it to be that family business. Just like Wegmans. And my hat's off to the Wegman family. Tremendous, tremendous supermarket, tremendous prices, tremendous food. To the Wegman family, my thanks to you. My thanks to your organization and your employees. You get treated like people. So whatever happens from here on in, like I say, there are several colleges, two right now, I have picked up the market basket situation as a case study. I wouldn't believe, and I hope I'm not wrong, I would think that Harvard Business School would be on top of this as, like JR would say, a duck on a June bug. I just think that this is history making. It is history making because it's never been done. A non-union group of people? I mean, it's amazing.
You're not talking about a couple dozen either.
I think it's going to break. My opinion is that in a week to 2 weeks, it's got to go one way or the other. So let's see what happens. My prayers are that it works out for everyone, that the hatchets are buried, that there's peace in the family. Let's stop the foolishness, get people back to work, 25,000 employees. Let's make this work. And, you know, Deval Patrick has said he doesn't want to get involved. In my opinion, that's a sign of a weak person.
Well, he's too busy trying to get all the illegals situated, all the children walking in from Colombia.
Another story for another time because I have a view on that also. I would probably be shot.
Oh, well, you know what? That could make two of us, and we don't agree on much. But, again, that is a different story for a different time. Nonetheless, wrestling fans from around the world, around the country, around anywhere in between. I'm losing my train of thought. Let's get into the wrestling aspect of this wrestling program now. What's going on? WWE, TNA, lots going on in both companies right now. WWE had their quarterly business conference on July the 31st. WWE Network only slightly increased in the total gross because so many people snuck out of their 6-month commitment, Johnny. What is going on with this WWE Network, in your fabulous opinion?
Wow. I think that a lot of people left the network because they weren't happy with what they were getting. It's not that the pay-per-views is not a bonus. Let me tell you something. For the $9.99 a month, if you didn't buy that and you didn't have that network, you were crazy. Just add up the cost of those pay-per-views and it paid for your $9.99, 10 times over. For real wrestling fans, and I think we all are deep in our hearts, I know I am, and you are. I think for the bang for your buck for $9.99, you can't find what was on that network anywhere. Anywhere. I think that what they needed was give them more. And I think if they do that, I think the WWE network will become more successful. I do believe that now that they've gone international, I think you're going to see a great surge in the WWE networks. And look, I don't get paid a dime for plugging anybody or doing anything. But I'm telling you right now, I am a fan of the WWE Network. I think it's the best bang for your buck. If you haven't got it, get it. Excuse me, you have nothing to lose by taking their trial period and seeing what you can really get for your money. But I think they've got to offer a little more. I think that's the situation that maybe the die-hard wrestling fans, the smarts, those people, other people are sitting back going, well, yeah, $10 and I'm getting this and I'm getting that, but you know, it shouldn't be just about pay-per-views. It shouldn't be about this. I should be able to pick up some of the Raws. I should be able to pick up some of this and pick up some of that. So I think that like anything else, it's like combing your hair. As soon as you begin to refine how you do it and how you cook your food, I think it becomes a success. And I think that's what WWE will be doing in the future. I think the network will be a success. It's just a matter of, okay, we know we took the wrong corner, let's fix it. And I believe that Vince will do just that, because there is no better businessman in this business, as far as I'm concerned, than Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
The godfather of pay-per-view.
I would say that's the one. I mean, he sunk everything he had into WrestleMania 1. It was a win or lose situation. If he lost, it would have been over for WWF and WWE, which was the future. But he gambled, which he always has, and it paid off. WrestleMania 31.
What really surprises me is that, like I said, there were an extra 161,000 subscribers on top of the number that was released the day after WrestleMania, which would have brought it to a gross of about 830,000. But approximately 130,000 of those people somehow snuck out of the 6-month commitment. I don't know if they canceled their credit card or their PayPal payment system, but you know, that's kind of fraudulent to me.
Well, no, you had an opt-out.
No, there was no opt. Well, there was a 1 month. Oh, no, I'm sorry, a 1 week free period given at certain points. But as far as paid subscribers, there was a net increase of 161,000 individuals from the day after WrestleMania to the July 31st conference.
And then people opted out of it. They just said, no, I don't want it anymore.
Well, no, they when you sign up for it, you have to agree to the 6-month period.
Which they did.
Right.
And after 6 months, you had the ability to renew or not renew.
Well, it didn't open until the end of February.
Well, but they
So March, April, May, June, July, August. So the initial cutoff would be the end of August for those that signed up, even if they signed up for the first day.
Right.
On the first day, I should say.
But I think what you're dealing with is, you know, I always said this, we're dealing with a smarter society. You know, and I use this example, and I hope nobody gets angry at me because I'm not attacking anybody, any faith or any religion. It could be Protestant, Catholic, Jewish, Buddhism, I really don't care. When your dad and my dad were younger, they would say, jump. And you would say, how high? Today, when a clergyman or anyone says to you, jump, we don't say how high, we say why. And so the society has become more involved and more understanding of what's going on. We're not dealing with the same wrestling crowd we dealt with when the Sammartinos and the Gorilla Monsoons, God rest their soul, were doing the performing. We're dealing with a different kind of wrestling fan today. And we're dealing with smarter people. And so a lot of people are sitting back going, you know, the only reason I can think of 130,000 or 160,000 people bailing is because they didn't feel they were getting what they wanted. And as I say, some of those extras that they expected aren't there. So until they provide those, I think that's a good thing. And look, it's a business decision by whoever creates the website. They needed 1 million subscribers by the end of the year.
And we're not there yet.
Well, you're at 800,000 or close to it.
No, 700,000 at this point.
So you don't believe that they'll pick up 300,000 more subscribers internationally. I think that's a unique market. It's an untapped in the Canadian market. I think that they'll pick up 300,000 subscribers plus. I think that you know, Vince, the board of directors, and whoever else is involved in this will look at what's needed to be done. And trust me, knowing Mr. McMahon, I think it will be done. And you will see that by December 31st, they'll probably have 1.2 million, 1.3 million subscribers.
That's your fabulous prediction.
My prediction.
Unbelievable. Well, I'll run this by just how I have used it. I really enjoyed their WrestleMania week live coverage from New Orleans. Obviously, WrestleMania, the pay-per-view, Extreme Rules, Payback. Money in the Bank, I don't think I watched because I was there. Payback, I saw a little, Battleground in July I saw a little of. I really enjoyed the Legends House reality series that they had in the can. But other than that, I really haven't sat down to use some of the on-demand features. I think they might help the cause a little bit if they kind of made it a little bit more like the WWE Classics on Demand that was available for your cable subscriber, where you didn't get anywhere near every pay-per-view every month, but you'd get select pay-per-views every month. You'd get select TV programs every month. You'd get flashbacks. You had a Hall of Fame section. I think if they went kind of that route, I think they may pick up some of the people, maybe lapsed fans that subscribe to the on demand that haven't been sold yet on the fact of either A, the concept of the WWE Network, or B, that want to do it online as opposed to watching it on your television set, because that's kind of a new concept too. I remember a fool sitting on this set in a blue shirt that said several years ago, who the hell is going to watch television on their computer? I think he was proven wrong by that. But I think one thing that also has piqued my interest that I really think they could maybe help the cause with, they bought a satellite recently, or part of a group satellite out in outer space, obviously. But if they're able to take the non-televised house shows and incorporate those into the TV network, where they wouldn't have to pay for any extra satellite time, where they have their own now, I think that would be a big perk. I'm really a big fan of their Legends of Wrestling programs that they do have archived, but they haven't made any new ones recently. Their Hall of Fame segments, those are excellent that they've done. They used to do the month by month on the Classics on Demand. So the good thing is there's a heck of a lot more they can do. They have 100,000 hours plus worth of content from just about every promotion in the world. It's just a matter of utilizing it to the best to get that subscriber base up. And I continue to say, I don't think Wall Street understands WWE's business platform like we may. And I don't think WWE completely understands how the Wall Street investors operate, because there was no I'll tell you this, and maybe I'll get shot in the foot for it. When I saw the price climb and climb and climb for the stock from maybe February until April, you know, Terry Funk, I believe, sold every stock that he had, and he made out quite well when it reached its peak. And there was no reason for the decline the way it was either. I mean, this is an absolutely new business model. WWE is innovating with what they're doing with the WWE Network. It's not going to be a grand slam out of the bat. It might not be a home run out of the bat. I mean, I don't think anyone would even say that in WWE right now, where I'm sure they were hoping for more subscribers. But they have something innovative, new. They're the first. They'll always be remembered as the first. And the way history has gone as far as their forays into cable and pay-per-view, they have been the best.
Well, first, let's start with who wants to watch TV on your computer. With the smart TVs today, you are watching not on your computer, you're watching on a 65, 55, 90-inch TV. So you're watching WWE internet, basically, on a TV. I think you've hit a lot of good points. Some of the items that you spoke about are exactly the words that I tried to use about adding the content that people want to see. I don't know about you, but I was kind of upset when the WWE monthly on demand was gone. I mean,
very much
there was
so.
Some great programming there.
I love the on demand.
I saw Strongbow matches, God rest his soul. I saw some of the old timers. I saw legends. You don't get that on the network.
Right.
And I think this is what's making the fan sit back, the true fan, and go, yeah, for $9.99 I'm getting pay-per-views, but that's just cool. I don't want all that. I want the extras that you have taken away from me. I like the idea of the house shows. I think that's a great idea, because I think the house shows in many cases sometimes are better than the live WWE Raws. I'll probably get shot for that one. But you know what? I think that you and I are both on the same wavelength, and you have to understand something. That investing in the United States is not like the foreign market. When you invest in the United States, a typical investor in the United States holds stock for 1 to 5 years. Overseas, Japanese, Chinese, they are looking at what we call long-term investment, 15 to 20 years. So the outlook in the stock market for this country versus outside of the United States has a completely different look. Now, when somebody makes a projection, the reason the stock began to climb, in my opinion, was 1 million subscribers means extra revenue. Great. So now you have the insurgence of more people buying stock. The stock price was forced up based on oil is going to be $6 a gallon. What are you going to do? Going to invest in oil.
Right.
What happens if we find more oil in this country, or the price of oil from the Middle East drops? Your stock goes to hell in a wire basket. You based it on futures, as they say in the stock market. It's the same thing with the WWE. And those people, like Funk, who had all that stock, watched it climb and said, knowing him, ain't going no higher, son, and did what any typical investor would do and liquidate.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. This is certainly going to be at the forefront of what goes on in the industry for the next few years at
$12
least.
a share. Maybe I should buy some.
I don't think you're going to see things calm down until they've reached whatever universe they can cap at, as far as who can receive the network and who can't.
Well, again, my whole thing is $1 million, $1.2 million. Once they reach that, I think that's going to help.
Now, August 12th, I mean, you're talking next week.
Yep.
And then I think it was October 1st or early October when England gets their hands on it for the first time. I mean,
Canada's going to have their hands on it. Japanese is a huge market. The Japanese market is really interesting. Puerto Rico, those areas I think are golden fruit in my opinion. And until they actually get in there and start doing it, who knows if it's going to succeed, but I believe it will. I think Vince has a plan. I think people need to get behind him, stand behind him, because I don't care what anybody says. You can have whoever you want believe they're in charge, but there's only one man in this business that truly is in charge, and that's Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Do you think that they would be better served almost like what Netflix does by giving a free month out? Do you think they'd be better to give a non-stop free week if someone wants to try to sample it for the first time? Because that has been offered several times, but it's not been an ongoing.
I'm not an advocate. I'm an advocate of giving something away once. And that once a month you want to give a free week, that's fine. But to give a continuous week, what you're going to have is a lot of hits from people who keep hitting. Oh,
no. I mean, open to one person or one IP address.
Well, they get several problems. One of the issues they need to address is very simple. I give you my account number. Now you give it to Pat. Pat gives it to Brian. Brian gives it to Bill. Bill gives it to Susan. Susan gives it to Nancy. Nancy gives it to Deborah.
Deborah.
You only have one person paying for the network, and everybody else is scrapping it for free.
But do you really think people are doing that?
I truly do believe that. I truly do believe that you have to find a way to control the number of individuals that access that account. You get a lot of freebies. And let's say, for example, that you and I are members of the network. I give it to 10 people. You give it to 10 people. 100 people give it to 10 people. That's 1,000 people at $9.99 who are not paying. That's how much money is that? 1,000 do it times 10. That's 10 grand. No, that's another email, probably from Vince.
I thought I heard someone whistling, and I thought I was losing my mind there for a minute.
They probably want me to appear in WWE again.
Johnny, dear Lord. Well, I will say this, fans, kids certainly have enjoyed it. Little Moratti has learned a great deal about the history of WWE, the history of wrestling, watching some of the older pay-per-views, some of the people that he knows, just from the games and the DVDs, now the WWE Network. It's astonishing. I love it. That's a great thing about the network. For $10 a month, I mean, I really think it's a great value.
You know what? For $10, here's what you do. You go $9.99, throw in WrestleMania 215, the new game that's coming out, as an extra bonus if you subscribe for 1 year. 1 year. Give the ability to play that game on the network.
That would be pretty cool.
Let me tell you something. I don't have a PlayStation 4. My son does. My other son in New York has one. I don't. I'm going to buy the game. Why? I'm going to find a way to play it. I've seen the graphics, and to me, it's like sitting in the arena. I mean, they are outstanding. And look at the people I've got in that. Sting is in there now. You've got Undertaker. I mean, you can't believe what you see. Why not the WWE Network say, okay, you subscribe for $9.99. Guess what? You can play this game online at our WWE Network. But you can't have, the grovelers, the one that are going to give, that are going to steal the hackers and the freebies. It costs you money. It costs you money. And when you get a DVD, what's the first thing that comes up on the screen? Piracy is a crime. Remember, Cena makes a movie, Hogan makes a movie, DiBiase makes a movie. They get residuals from that movie. Every time you copy it and give it away for free, or it's available in one of these downline situations where you can download it to a DVD, or somebody's in there with a camera copying it in the movie theaters, You know what? You're taking money out of somebody's pocket. If you truly are a WWE fan, if you truly care about the company and its success, pay the $9.99. Maybe you talk your friends into buying it, to try it, but don't give it away. Don't hurt the product. If anything, what you need to do with the WWE network, why not send your suggestions to the WWE, such as WrestleMania 215, such as On Demand.
You're going to get me to jump the shark here, Johnny, but I'm so sick. Instead of people, like you just said, sending their thoughts, opinions to the company itself, they're so quick to jump on the Facebooks, the Twitter, and so on and so forth. And who, other than apparently getting themselves over to whoever's reading their messages and so on in their own minds, how is that going to help what's going on with the delivery of this content, whether it's WWE's regular programming, their pay-per-views, the network, TNA's programs? How does that help the cause? How does that get into these executives' minds that this is what at least this fan wants to see? And if more and more people actually contact these channels, these companies, to try and change the focus, the spectrum of what's on these programs, how is that going to implement change? By putting it on Twitter and Facebook?
WWE is famous for sending out polls. Do you want to see Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon in a match? Look, I think Stephanie is an outstanding athlete. She proved that in her early days when she was her father's ally and she was in there doing some matches. We'll see how she turns out in this match against Brie Bella. But you know what? They send out those kinds of polls. Why not send out polls on your network? What would you like to see? What do you think we could change to make it better? It goes right back to the old thing I said before. My slogan hasn't changed. You're either part of the solution, or if you're not part of the solution, then you must be part of the problem. WWE cannot simply say, it's not us. Either you succeed or you don't. Either you're part of it or you're not part of it. And those fans that use Twitter and Facebook and all the other social media, you know what? Instead of doing that, why not come up with a solution?
You'd think wrestling fans want professional wrestling to succeed. I mean, it's that simple. Everyone, oh, JTG got released. Oh, he hasn't been on TV in 5 years. So you know what? Do you think JTG enjoyed losing, having that job?
No, but
beyond his love, I'm sure, of the professional wrestling genre, do you think he liked losing his job than having these people that don't even know him, mocking him on social media? They don't know what kind of work ethic the man has. It could be great, it could be poor. I'm not familiar with him on a personal level. But I'll just say this, if wrestling fans want wrestling to succeed, support wrestling. If you want to see things changed, contact people that can change it. Twitter isn't going to do anything to help WWE. Facebook messages aren't going to do anything to change TNA, and so on and so forth. Would fans in this day and age, let me run this by you, would you not like to have WCW around? Would all these hard-working guys on the independents that always want their break and so on, would they not be benefiting right now if WCW and ECW were still in existence?
Look, I'm a firm believer of two furniture stores on the same street is good for business. I don't care what Triple H says, and I do, but he always, and Stephanie's favorite line is, well, we're doing what's good for business. Well, you know what? Do what's good for business. Two furniture stores on the same street. Competition is good. Competition is good. It makes a better product. And I'm not saying that WWE is not a good product. I think it happens to be one of the best. You've got TNA now, who may not be on TV anymore.
No, that was going to be my next subject, and that one has me even more fired up about it, because I don't see why anyone would think that's a good thing. That then, you know what, let's actually state the story for those that may not be familiar with it right now. Spike TV informed TNA that they're not going to renew their current deal as is. That could be renegotiated into different terms. It could lead to a new TV station. It could lead to a new platform altogether for TNA. But the thing is, those same fans that are scoffing at it, imagine if there's no TNA whatsoever. Imagine all those wrestlers that they enjoy seeing on television maybe out of a job. It's a horrible situation all around, and I just don't see why anyone derives any joy from it, because I don't.
Maybe we get on the back another market basket here. You know, first of all, the trouble with TNA is you get somebody in charge who has no idea what the wrestling business is all about. Dixie Carter may be a very attractive woman, But when it comes to the wrestling business, she doesn't have a clue. And I'm sorry, Dixie, but unless you understand what it's all about and what you need to provide to the fans, you have no business being in the business. The six-sided ring is the stupidest thing you could ever have done.
See, I disagree with that.
The six-sided ring is great for special pay-per-views.
Brand
and events,
identity.
but you don't have to work in that ring, my friend. I've talked to some of the guys that work in that six-sided ring. It's not a fun ring to work in. You have less space. You can't do many things in that six-sided ring. Wrestling is about, quote-unquote, the squared circle. All right? And that's what wrestling is. Not an octagon, because that's what MMA is. You need a squared circle. Now, you want to pull out some quick stops and have some real good shots? Now, once and for all, a cage match in a six-sided octagon ring. Street fight style, whatever you want to do. That's the key. You have some people on TNA, wrestlers and TNA, who were friends, Samoa Joe. You had people like the Fallen Angel.
He's no longer with
Christopher No, I know. They've let some of the good people go, or they've asked to leave. There's something wrong with the way the product is being created and run. They're not utilizing their talent to their abilities. The storylines sometimes make no sense. You cannot be Dixie Carter. You will never be a Vincent Kennedy McMahon, a Triple H, or Stephanie McMahon, or Shane McMahon. You do not belong on TV. And you know what? Overexposure, too much of a good thing, is a bad thing. So, first of all, start with plan one. Get the hell off the screen. 2, find somebody who can help you write some good wrestling TV. 3, utilize the stars that you have. You've got Devon Dudley back in there. You've got some great AJ Styles. You've got some great individuals on your card and your roster. Utilize them. Good storylines. Stay out of it. Work behind the scenes. If you need to come out of the back once in a while and get in Gorilla and go down there, once in a while is a good thing. Every show isn't. Being put through a table, if that's really what happens, come on, let's get over that one real quick. You know, a woman being put through a table, what's so wonderful about that? I've seen it done on the indie shows. We did it on the indie shows. I was part of a show that did it with Big Time Wrestling. I was there. We had a young lady from Canada. She was fighting against the Dudley Boys. They put her through not 1, but 2 tables. A double table. So, Dixie, she's one up on you. Get some female wrestlers in there. You've got some good talent. You have Gail Kim, one of the best in the business. You had a very good person, a friend of mine. I'll use her old name, Victoria, Lisa Marie Varon. Outstanding.
Another one of your good friends.
Outstanding wrestler. You had Mickey James, outstanding performer, underutilized. And I go on record as saying this. Vince can get mad at me. Anybody, TNA, the Indies can get mad at me. The most underutilized individuals in professional wrestling are the women. And let me tell you something, brother, some of those women can beat some of those men's asses, and they can perform, and they can wrestle. And that's what's wrong. You're not allowing them to show you what they can do. Natalya, outstanding professional wrestler. You've got, I can't go down the list. The Bellas are pretty good wrestlers. They're out there outstanding wrestlers. I mean, let's take a look at what we have and utilize them to the fullest. What happened to the intergender matches? Which were...
Well, in TNA's
Bella and
defense
Daniel
on that,
Bryan,
I don't think they are permitted on Spike TV. I could be wrong about that, but I remember hearing that at one point. Whether it was first or second hand, I don't remember.
Well, you know what? All I can say is this. The driver of the bus, Dixie Carter, has driven the bus into the ground. The tires are bald and the engine is seized. You have 2 choices. Go and never come back. TNA fails, ceases to exist, or rebuild the bus with new tires and a new engine and compete. That's what you need to do if you want to succeed. I think 2 furniture stores will always be a good thing on the same street.
I throw in the Vince Russo situation into it, where it was revealed that he was a long-standing employee with TNA as far as their creative goes. He is certainly someone that generates an opinion from those in wrestling, from the hardcore wrestling fans and so on that are familiar with his career, both behind the scenes and on camera. I'd certainly like to think that TNA wouldn't have put the man in a position to help with their creative if Spike TV said they didn't want him there. But, you know, some people say there would have been no Vince Russo without Vince McMahon editing his work. Vince Russo seems to think that he was the one responsible for the great success, or a part of the great success of WWE in the late 90s. You know, I'll go with that. Even if Vince Russo, I should say, was one of the main creative forces behind the Attitude Era, the Austin and the Rock era, what we saw in WCW was flat, and he that claims that WCW's parent company pretty much pulled the wool out from under him as far as what he could not do. And then with TNA, we haven't seen any great increases, and now, 12 years into the company's existence. As far as pay-per-view numbers, they go down. The TV ratings have generally stayed in the same ballpark throughout. I don't know why they'd risk putting the company's television program in jeopardy if Spike TV didn't want that particular man involved with the creative process.
You know, everybody needs a scapegoat. Everybody needs a whipping post, a whipping person. Politically correct person. First of all, I'm not a fan of Vince Russo. I think he writes garbage. I think some of the stuff he wrote was sick. I'm not a real fan of what he does and how he does it. Does he understand the business? Maybe. Would I have him work for me? Absolutely not. I think Dixie Carter made a mistake when she brought him in. I don't think that he did, if you believe he does good work, I don't think he did his best work, especially when you got to put yourself on the screen. You know, that's an ego situation. My whole thing is he really a factor in the equation? I'll tell you what's a factor in any equation with any TV station. It's numbers. TNA just isn't doing the numbers, and the numbers continue to go down. How much more money can the Carters, the people, her investors, her parents, continue to dump into a product that's losing money?
Well, I mean, you know, the house show numbers have always fluctuated from hundreds to the low thousands for the most part. Their pay-per-view buys, you know, have gone down in recent years, but they've pretty much, you know...
Ring of Honor outdid them on pay-per-view buys. 1,000 people. That's all they needed, and they got it. Ring of Honor got it. So
they had 1,000 buys on pay-per-view in total?
Yeah.
TNA beat that.
Well,
any pay-per-view TNA has ever executed has delivered far more than 1,000 buys.
Maybe TNA needs to talk to Ring of Honor. Maybe they need to combine forces. Maybe they need to create a wrestling syndicate. Will that happen? I doubt it.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Yeah.
Well, but you know what? I'm going to tell you something. What does Triple H always say, and Stephanie McMahon? You got to do what's good for business. And until
in this business, though, there are a lot of people that think they know better than the fans.
Well, the
which is
fans
a big
seem to know
problem.
better than the writers and better than the people that are involved in this business. Most of the fans don't know diddly squat about what we do or how we do it or why we do it. So to comment, it's like going to a French restaurant and saying the food is horrible. Are you a French chef? Well, no. Then how do you comment? You don't comment on what you know nothing about. It's easy to sit behind a computer with a fake name. You know, I give Mark Madden a lot of credit. I might not agree with everything Madden says. Sometimes he just rambles on. But I tell you what, he says it and he puts his face and his name, his byline, on every article he writes. Some of these fans ought to grow a pair, use their real names, and write what they really feel. Not about, well, I hope he breaks his leg and can't come back forever. I'm glad to see he's gone. He's no friggin' good anyway. You know what? You have no clue. Not one clue about what this is all about what we do, about how we do it, or why we do it. That upsets me to no end. In TNA's case, if she can turn the product around, get some writers, decent writers, get people who understand this business, get people who can create interesting storylines, utilize, and I'm telling you something, you have some outstanding talent in TNA. Utilize that talent.
Their live event presentation for the fans in attendance is excellent. Excellent.
You know what? You need to look around. Do you think that Bernie and Phil's and Bob's and Jordan's doesn't look at the competition? Do you think Market Basket didn't look at Shaw's and Hannaford's and Stop and Shop and Wegmans? Take a look at what you have in front of you and redesign your program.
But that can also be a negative. There have been times, in my own personal opinion, I've felt the TNA has tried to be too much like WWE instead of creating their own identity.
Tell me, what's the most interesting character on TNA? Give me your outstanding character on TNA. Don't tell me it's Bully Ray.
I like Bobby Lashley as the champion because of his credentials as a real athlete.
I've worked with Bobby Lashley several times. Outstanding human being, outstanding individual.
Not a big fan of your uprising faction, but that's a different story for a different time.
We'll see what happens with Bobby Lashley.
I like the X Division focus on, since they've had the tapings in New York City. As far as the most interesting character, if I was to pick one, he might not stand out as a great verbal presentation, but I think Jeff Hardy is great. He's someone that resonates and connects with the fans. He is someone that has made a difference at the box office for TNA. If you look at the house shows he's on compared to the shows he's not on, the pay-per-views he's main evented compared to the pay-per-views he hasn't main evented. He was the most popular wrestler in the world, along with this gentleman, in 2009 when he left WWE. So if I was to pick someone in TNA, if I was waving the magic wand, he would certainly be one of the three, if not the, building piece for the entire company.
I might disagree with that, but now I look at WWE and I look at TNA, I say, so you have no Undertaker, you have no Kane, you have no Bray Wyatt, you have no Usos, you have no Big Show.
See, that's not a...
But no, what I'm saying to you is this. Professional wrestling is fantasy. We tell stories. That's what we do. That's what professional wrestling is. Vince McMahon said it, it's entertainment. You need to become part of what's happening. Bray Wyatt, one of the most outstanding characters I've seen in a long, long time in professional wrestling, takes you beyond reality. Takes you beyond reality. You know, when I go to these wrestling shows, I see 18,000 cell phone lights. Bray Wyatt has got the whole world in his hand. They may hate his guts. And I know I said this before, and many people have come down on me, and I suppose they did pick the right guy to end the Undertaker streak. I would have had Bray Wyatt in that streak. You look at me and go, oh, come on, man. It would have been perfect. Taker sinks slowly into the ring. Up comes the mist. Out of the mist comes the urn. He grabs the urn, holds it high, and says, I have the whole world in my hand. Thunder, lightning, and the only thing we hear is, rest in peace. Undertaker's not gone, hasn't been beat, I will return. And who better to control the evil of the urn than the man who is evil himself? Just a thought. A poor writer I am, but just a thought. The guy to end the streak was probably the most powerful man in professional wrestling, which was Brock Lesnar. That had to be a smart move on their part. But when you think about what's happening, and you look at the stars of WWE versus the stars of TNA, they're far and few and in between. The mystique, the characters. You need to create the illusion. You've got to bring in the storylines. And it's not happening. It's just not happening. Maybe we need a whole new writing crew. We definitely need Dixie Carter to stay the hell out of the picture. Definitely need that. And I hate to say it, Dixie, wonderful human being, a very attractive person, a lot of money behind her, but you know what? I don't know how to do electrical work. That's why I pay somebody else to do it.
A fabulous opinion indeed. Fabo, before we wrap up on this program, we had a big June. We've been kind of on hiatus this summer between my feet going out on me and a lot of the big events. You're a busy man as always, going here, there, and everywhere. Last weekend in June, we had the Hulkster. We had Mick Foley. We had WWE Money in the Bank, along with some events in Maine and the Hartford Raw. Your thoughts, Johnny? It was an amazing, amazing time here for professional wrestling in New England.
I was at the Mick Foley Comedy Show at the Kowloon, one of the greatest restaurants on the North Shore for Chinese food. The Kowloon, you can't beat it. You cannot beat it. The Wong family are great hosts. The food is outstanding. Mick Foley was there. The room was, the performances were sold out. And you'll get a chuckle. Were you there?
No.
Well, guess
I was downstairs on the Saturday.
I was upstairs and did my little thing from Boston Garden. I actually got some laughs and we had some fun. but Mick Foley was outstanding. I don't know if this is true or not, but I understand he may make a return appearance next year.
I would hope so.
I would hope so also. Just a great night for the fans.
Tell the fans what the show was all about. What the experience was like more than anything.
I will tell you this, that you have to be a wrestling fan to enjoy Mick's comedy show, because his comedy and what he does is basically based on wrestling. The stories he tells, the way he goes about it, are just very comical and very funny. I brought my son Dan, my daughter-in-law Janet, and Nancy to the show. They basically said, I understood a couple of things, but I didn't get the rest. But the majority of fans that were there, I'll tell you what really was great. You know, Mick is big on Santa Claus. On my left-hand side, there were several tables of the professional Santa Clauses, all white beards, long hair. I said, man, this is great. And Foley, of course, brought that up. He brought up some things, some stories about traveling, going through a cage, his teeth being knocked out, just things that you could relate to and laugh at as a fan. And at the end, I mean, Mick succeeded in what he came to do. The fans enjoyed it. The food at the Kowloon was outstanding that night. And it was just a great night of family fun. It was great. I really, really enjoyed myself. And I hope he does come back. It was just a great, great opportunity. Fans had the opportunity after the show. And I feel honored that Mick was signing autographs. And as Andy Wong said to me, he said, you know, this is outstanding. I've had several fans come to me and said, this is a 2-for-1. We're getting Mr. Cena's autograph and pictures. And believe me, I felt honored because, you know, I'm just there.
But you'll sign if asked.
It's all about the fans, Dan. You know, when I go to shows, if they ask, I'll have people come over to me. I'll sign. I'll stop. Even if I'm a heel working for MWF or big-time wrestling, I don't care who it is. The fans are what this business is all about. Without you, there will be, never will be, any professional wrestling. And any wrestler who believes that he's above the fans or she's above the fans ultimately falls out of light and ends. They just burn. You need to reward the people that are there cheering you, booing you, hating you, whatever the case may be. I've never, ever not signed an autograph or not taken a picture. And that, to me, is the most important thing. I don't consider myself to be a superstar. I don't consider myself to be this person.
Everyone else does.
Well, and I thank them for that. And I get a little touched when I hear you say that, and other people say that. I'm very humbled by it.
I understand that, not to interrupt, but you may be one of the downloadable characters in WWE 2K15.
I haven't heard that, and I don't believe that that's true, because they have
SummerSlam weekend, they have the big reveal out in Los Angeles. Maybe we'll find out that there will be a JFAB in WWE 2015.
Well, I do feel honored. I don't know if you went to one of the wrestling sites. I got several emails from several friends and say, hey, they have the 10 greatest slaps in WWE up. Well, guess where the slap with Edge came in the top 10?
Unbelievable.
Number 2.
Number 2?
JFAB was number 2, getting himself whacked by Edge. And number one slap, I got beat out by number 1, was Shane McMahon slapping Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I am honored to think that I was in slot number 2.
Fabo, that is unbelievable. You, with all your travels that weekend, missed an outstanding experience at both the Assembly Sports Club in Somerville and the Tewksbury Sports Club, and obviously Tewksbury. Hulk Hogan, 1,600 strong in Somerville, 1,200 strong in Tewksbury, and I'll tell you this much, there was no way he could fit all those people in within 2 hours. He stayed over an hour and a half extra in Somerville and over an hour extra in Tewksbury.
Credit to the Hulkster.
Every fan that showed up got an autograph.
Wow.
They may have been, had to rush the line a little bit, but every fan that showed up got to say hello right in front of them. Every fan got an autograph.
They get free pictures, have to buy pictures.
He didn't have to, he couldn't have done pose photos too.
No. You have an autograph there.
Oh yeah, they had WWE 8x10 white promo photos.
And they sold those. That's
or
good.
you could have your own item.
No, I hope someday to meet the Hulkster one-on-one. I met him down in New Orleans, but he was very busy, didn't have time to talk. I'd like to meet him one-on-one and have a chance to shake his hand, because I remember growing up with Hulk Hogan. John grew up with Hulk Hogan, one of his inspirations. I just like to meet the man that is the man in professional wrestling, not taking anything away from, the man in professional wrestling. The slogan is, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And nobody will ever beat Ric Flair.
Well, and then on top of that, we had the Money in the Bank. What a great show that was at the Boston Garden. It was Little Marati's first WWE pay-per-view live. He got to see one hell of a show.
Let me tell you something. Nobody was more surprised at Money in the Bank than Mr. Cena.
Why is that?
There was so much good talent in that ring for those belts, the championships. I don't know about you. You're as involved in this as I. I'm sitting there, and there were some people that had come from different countries in the back, and some other people who were just there as doing some liaison work for their charities. They asked me, they said, who do you think is going to be the world champion? And my answer is, I don't know. And not that I'm knocking John Cena, because I'm behind him 100%. I mean, win, lose, or draw, I'm behind my son. And I tell you, you had some great close calls, some great talent in that match. And at the very end, when he took the two belts, it was like, wow, another dream come true, 15-time world champion. Didn't make Stephanie or Triple H very happy. But then again, you know, Triple H and Steph, as we say in Italian, you gotta do what's best for business, huh?
That is fabulous, Fabo. We got so much more to talk about. We'll save it for a special SummerSlam weekend edition.
Sounds good.
I'll tell you this, though. All these prizes we have here decorating the set, we didn't even touch on that. All of these are going to be up for grabs and so much more.
I'm ready.
You have initiatives that have never been done in wrestling, but you won't even share them with me as of yet.
Not yet. Very shortly, we're going to open up what we call the can of surprises. And when I tell you it's a surprise, as my friend Jim Ross would say, this is going to be a slobber knocker.
Wrestling fans, you heard it from the fabulous one himself, Mr. John Cena Sr. I'm Dan Marati. Until we speak again, fans, check out BostonWrestling.com every day along with our social media platforms. And always, be well.